It happened on what was supposed to be a normal family get-together. A sunny afternoon filled with food, laughter, and kids running around. But what started as a fun day quickly turned into something I'll never forget. My daughter, who's only 6, was playing in the living room, giggling with her cousins, just being her joyful, energetic self. Yes, she was a little loud, but nothing out of the ordinary for a kid her age. That's when my brother suddenly stood up, walked over, and without warning, slapped her across the face. Right there. In front of everyone. First, I thought I was imagining it. Surely I misunderstood. But no, my daughter clutched her cheek and looked at me with wide, shocked eyes, and I just froze. Before I could even process what happened, his parents too, laughed. They laughed. As if what just happened was some kind of joke or a harmless reaction. My heart was racing. I was angry, confused, embarrassed. And more than anything, I was hurt for my daughter. This was supposed to be a safe space, surrounded by family. But in that moment, it felt like I was standing in a room full of strangers. What made it worse was the way no one else reacted. No one stood up for her. Not even a "hey, that was too much." It was just brushed off like it was no big deal. I knew I had to do something. But what do you do when your own family crosses a line and pretends nothing happened? When silence screams louder than words? That day changed the way I looked at my brother. And my parents. And the decision I made next might surprise you. As I stood there, my daughter still holding her cheek, I felt like time had slowed down. 1,000 thoughts ran through my head, but the one that kept repeating was, how did we get here? My brother and I used to be close. Growing up, we shared everything: snacks, secrets, and late-night laughs. He was always the protective one, the kind of brother who'd walk me home after dark. But somewhere along the way, that warmth turned into something colder, more rigid. He'd always been the strict uncle, the one who believed kids should be seen, not heard. But I never imagined that would turn into him laying a hand on my child. And my parents, they've always taken his side. The oldest son, the one who can do no wrong in their eyes. I remember once when he yelled at my daughter for spilling juice on the carpet. She was 4. My mom actually praised him for teaching her manners. I laughed it off back then, but now I wonder, was that a red flag I ignored? What really shook me was the silence. The room went back to normal like nothing happened. My niece kept coloring, my uncle poured himself another drink, and my dad changed the subject to football. My daughter sat next to me, quiet now, completely still. And that's not like her at all. She's the kind of kid who sings to the birds and asks a million questions before breakfast. But in that moment, she looked smaller, like something in her had dimmed. I wanted to scream. I wanted to demand answers. But the words got stuck in my throat. Why was I the only one who saw this as wrong? And what would happen if I finally stopped pretending everything was okay? Later that night, after we got home, I tucked my daughter into bed and watched her try to smile like nothing was wrong. But I could see it in her eyes. Something had shifted. She didn't ask for her bedtime story. She didn't ask for her favorite stuffed animal. She just rolled over and pulled the blanket up to her chin. That quiet broke me more than anything else. I sat in the living room, phone in hand, thinking about calling my brother. Part of me wanted to scream at him, demand an apology, tell him he crossed a line that can't be undone. But another part of me wondered what would even come from that. Would he even understand how deeply he hurt her? And me? Or would he brush it off again like he always does? The same way he did years ago when he scolded me for letting my daughter act wild at family dinners. Back then I thought he was just being overprotective. Now I wonder if I was just being too forgiving. I even thought about talking to my parents. But the truth is, I already know how that conversation would go. They'd say I'm overreacting. They'd tell me not to cause drama. They'd say he was just disciplining her like they used to do with us. But this isn't the 90s and this isn't their child. What hurts the most is realizing that the people I thought I could count on, the people who are supposed to protect my child, just stood by and did nothing. It's like I'm waking up to a version of my family I never wanted to see. And the more I think about it, the more I wonder. If I stay silent now, what kind of mother does that make me? The next morning, I woke up to a message in the family group chat. My mom had sent a picture from the gathering. Everyone smiling, plates of food on the table, kids in the background. Like nothing ever happened. No mention of the slap. No check-in on my daughter. Just a casual, "Great day yesterday." So nice having everyone together. My chest tightened. I stared at the photo my daughter blurred in the corner, and it hit me. This was their version of events. Clean. Untouched. Edited. I didn't respond. I couldn't. Instead, I watched my daughter eat breakfast in silence, slowly picking at her cereal. She was quieter than usual, eyes down, no humming, no chatter. I asked her if she was okay, and she just nodded, not even looking up. That's when I knew this wasn't just about one slap. It was about how safe she felt around people who were supposed to love her. All day, I kept thinking about what I should do. Should I confront them all in the group chat? Should I call a family meeting? Or should I cut ties and protect my daughter without saying a word? None of the options felt easy, but doing nothing wasn't one anymore. By the evening, I had drafted 3 different messages to send, each one a little stronger than the last. I deleted all of them. Something didn't feel right. This wasn't just about me being angry. This was about setting a boundary that should have never been tested in the first place. And then just as I was about to put my phone down, I got a call from my brother. I froze. My heart started racing. Why was he calling now? Was he finally going to apologize? Or was this just the start of something even messier? I stared at the screen as my brother's name flashed across it, my hand hovering over the answer button. I finally picked up, heart pounding. His voice was calm, too calm. He didn't say sorry. He didn't even ask about my daughter. Instead, he said, "Mom told me you've been acting distant. I just wanted to make sure you're not blowing things out of proportion." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Blowing things out of proportion? I held back the urge to snap. I asked him straight out, "Do you even realize what you did?" He sighed and said, "Look, she was being loud and disrespectful. I was just trying to discipline her. You're being too sensitive like always." It was like a switch flipped inside me. I wasn't just hurt anymore, I was angry. But before I could respond, he added something that stopped me cold. He said, "Honestly, if you're going to raise her without discipline, maybe she shouldn't be around the rest of the family. It's setting a bad example." That's when I realized this wasn't just about one slap. This was a bigger issue. My brother didn't just see himself as an uncle. He saw himself as some kind of authority over my child. And my parents, by laughing and brushing it off, were enabling him. But then came the real twist. He told me that my parents had already planned another family dinner for the following weekend, and they'd prefer if I came alone. No kids.
No explanaschen.
Just a clear message. My daughter wasn't welcome. That shattered whatever was left of the illusion that this was just a misunderstanding. Now it was a choice. Them or her. And suddenly the room felt a whole lot smaller, and the silence even louder. I hung up the call and just sat there, stunned. My daughter wasn't welcome? For what, being a child? That was the moment everything became clear. I wasn't overreacting. I wasn't being dramatic. I was finally seeing the truth I'd been avoiding for years. This wasn't a one-time incident, it was a pattern. And I wasn't going to let it continue. Not with her. That night, I sat my daughter down and told her the truth in the gentlest way I could. I told her she didn't do anything wrong. That what happened at the family gathering wasn't okay. That no one, no matter who they are, has the right to hurt her or make her feel small. Her eyes welled up and she asked, "Am I still allowed to laugh?" That question broke me, but it also made my decision easier. The next day I called my parents. I told them we wouldn't be coming to the next dinner. Not me. Not my daughter. I explained everything calmly but firmly. My mom sighed and said, "You're really going to let one little moment tear this family apart?" I told her it wasn't one moment. It was years of silence, of brushing things under the rug, of choosing comfort over courage. I expected more pushback, maybe even guilt trips. But what I didn't expect was what came a few days later. A message from my niece, my brother's teenage daughter. She wrote, "Thank you for standing up. I wish my dad would have heard no more often growing up." I just stared at the message, heart racing. That's when I realized this wasn't just about protecting my daughter. It was about breaking a cycle, one that had quietly hurt more than just us. And as heavy as it all felt, I finally knew I was doing the right thing. In the days that followed, something in me started to shift. For the first time in a long time, I didn't feel trapped by family expectations. I felt clear. I felt steady. I spent more time with my daughter, really listening to her, laughing with her, letting her be as loud and wild and wonderful as she wanted to be. She started coming back to herself little by little. The sparkle returned to her eyes. She sang at the top of her lungs while brushing her teeth again. I didn't hear much from the rest of the family after that. A few cold texts, some silence, and then nothing. And honestly, that silence felt like peace. I realized I didn't need their approval to be a good mom. I didn't need to stay connected to people who only showed up when I kept quiet. As for my brother, I don't know if he'll ever see what he did as wrong. Maybe one day he will. Maybe he won't. But I've stopped waiting for that. And if there's one thing this experience taught me, it's that protecting your child's heart is more important than protecting someone else's comfort. My niece and I have stayed in touch. We talk now more than we ever did before. It turns out she needed someone to speak up to. And that alone made everything worth it. At the end of the day, family isn't about shared blood. It's about shared values. About showing up for each other in the hard moments. About choosing love over control, safety over silence. And I chose my daughter. Loud, joyful, messy, beautiful her. I chose her. And I'd do it again 1,000 times over.